Hello there, this is Kathy Wilson, and the video that I have for you today is about reporting a fraud, reporting a scam. And the reason I'm putting this into a video is because for many people, it's a bit of a struggle to decide whether they want to report or not. Unfortunately, these kind of crimes are shrouded in secrecy, stigma. There's shame associated with them, and there's victim blaming associated with them. And so people are not sure that they want to share this with a law enforcement officer, for instance, worried that they're going to be blamed, that the person is going to, you know, seem like they have contempt for you, right? And so people hesitate. And so I wanted to give you a couple of things to consider as you think about this. Now, I'm saying this from a mental health perspective only. There may be financial or legal reasons that you need to quickly report this crime that has happened to you. So, outside of those kind of factors, and where just your mental health is concerned, then I'm going to say reporting is absolutely, completely up to you to decide. Sometimes people get some pressure from a family member, for instance, that you have to report, you need to report, it's important to report. It is important, right, for outside factors outside of your family and you. For instance, I work with a lot of people that are advocates, that are fraud investigators, etc. And the more data there is about the kinds of crimes that happen, the more we can fight it. The more we learn about where scammers are, how they operate, and things like that. So that is important, but not at the sacrifice of your mental health. Again, as long as there aren't other financial or legal reasons that you really should get it reported and get it reported quickly. So, having said all of that, for your mental health, I'm going to tell you a couple of things to consider. So, the first thing is that there are many, many, many places that you could report this crime has happened to you. So many of these are organizations, they may be gathering data, for instance, and that could be important to you that you let this organization or another to have that data so that they can use it in a way that you think is important. But for crime reporting, for law enforcement, there's three most important places to look for and consider those are going to be the ones you focus on to report. One of them is the Internet Crime Center, and you can find it by going to the website ic3.gov. That gets the information to the FBI, potentially some other government agencies as well, but that's probably the number one place to report. And the second may be your local Secret Service office. So that might be surprising, but Secret Service does take a part in investigating international crimes. So if you have reason to believe it's international, it's worth a phone call to check and talk to your local Secret Service office and let them help you decide whether they need to take that report or not. And then the third place is your local law enforcement, whether that's police officers or sheriff's deputies. Absolutely consider reporting to them as well. So, with all that said, my next thing that I want you to consider is to first create one document for yourself that you can copy and paste from. So, what can happen is you might be repeating your story again and again, and it feels awful to be doing that. It takes you right back into what happened. The very distressing emotions come up, and you can reduce that somewhat by putting it all in one document, and that's all the data like account numbers, transaction IDs, your bank's name, things like that, the data associated with it. It may include copies of text messages and emails or more. Maybe on WhatsApp, you might be texting there, and then your story. So you need to make a statement and write out your story. And if you can just copy and paste that data, that story, into a reporting system, or just hand a piece of paper to law enforcement in your local jurisdiction, that may be a lot easier than retelling your story again and again. So that's another thing to consider. Um, Another to consider is to think about the fact that it might be hard for you to retell this story. And any other way that you can think of for yourself to help with that is important. That idea might keep you from reporting now, but maybe you feel ready to report later. But being ready for the possibility that this could take you right back into what happened and feeling those hard feelings. Knowing that ahead of time and taking good care of yourself and reminding yourself that this is not your fault. You are not stupid. This was a crime that happened to you, and you want the best chance to have those criminals caught and have consequences for what happened. So, keeping your focus on those kind of things, more positive self talk in your head as opposed to the negative, blaming yourself, things like that. Keep those things in mind and be prepared to use them in the moment when you're reporting. And then the other piece to that is, way too often, unfortunately, when people do get the courage up to go tell someone their story, they're met with victim blaming. A clear, judgment, this is your fault. I have an article on my website that is very much about victim blaming and the effect on you and others around you. It's also, me listing off several things that victims have heard in the past that are appalling, and people have heard them. Sometimes with local law enforcement, you'll get the response, well, you gave it to them willingly. That's not a crime to report. And that's wrong. Scammers are criminals. This is a crime to report. And and I'm not encouraging you to get into an argument, of course, with anybody you're reporting to, but just knowing in your heart, even if you're met with that kind of judgment, that you need to reject that in your own mind and just say to yourself, that's not true. And also be prepared that you might hear that. And if you feel like, okay, I'm ready and I can withstand that kind of an attitude, perhaps you have your document that you can copy and paste from, then go ahead, absolutely. And I think that's it about this, at least for now. I will say, frequently people are unable to get their money back. That there's a hope. Of course, you're going to have hope of something like that, but the sad truth is that many, many times, most of the time, they can't get your money back. And so that leads me to also give you a little bit of a warning, and you might have seen a video about that on my channel here, because I've created a video about this, and it's money recovery scammers. There are a lot of scammers out there that are targeting people who are already scammed and promising they can get your money back, but you have to pay them a certain amount for them to start the investigation, and they cannot. And so if somebody comes at you, makes a reply on social media post that you make and they say, I can help you get your money back, be really, really skeptical of that. Check them out as thoroughly as you can. Ask another person who's supportive to you, if they can help you to evaluate whether this is a real service or not. 9 times out of 10, possibly 99 times out of 100, they will not be legitimate. So I'm going to end the video now. I wish you all the very best. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.